Got any fresh injury concerns ahead of the weekend then?
No, we're pretty good. Everybody came through the last fixture unscathed, so good to go.
That's good to know. And any update on when David Kasuma will be ready for his return to the pitch?
David's been on the training pitch this week, modified sessions. We're hoping to build up his training intensity and volume by the end of the week, and then back to normal on Monday, the following Monday.
Fantastic. And is there a certain due date you're expecting him back? It's a fixture you're expecting him back available for?
Potentially the QPR one.
No Josh Koroma or Pat Jones on Saturday. Obviously, there's been a few rumours swirling around Koroma himself. Any update on those two?
No, not really. Pat Jones had an illness, so he missed the training and then wasn't available for selection for the game. And Josh Koroma was just not in the squad just due to us having the numbers and tactical reasons for the preparation for that game.
And we expecting Pat back for this Bristol game then, as he passed that illness?
Yeah, he's improving quickly. He'll be on the training pitch today, but we'll just have to assess him after today's session.
And Josh, then you say you got the numbers and the tactics and that. Are we expecting him to be involved in Bristol as well?
Yeah, again, he's available for selection. I think we're always selecting the squad based on sort of the week, how the training goes and the preparation for a certain type of opponent.
And you've got 4 points from the last two home games. Obviously, after the opening weekend, you picked up a couple of points at home. Is turning the John Smiths into a fortress being a priority of yours? Has that been a focus this season?
Yeah, I think it's a term used quite widely. I think every team wants to be really solid at home and make the stadium a fortress, get the fans really behind the team. So yeah, I think it's a natural thing for any team to do.
And how important are those home fans in getting the results?
Yeah, massive. I think I've said before, I think the two positive results we've had at home, the fans have been a big part of helping the team get over the line.
We didn't get to see much of Tino Andrin last season, obviously a couple of goals at the weekend. How impressed were you with his goals against West Brom?
Yeah, I think we was aware last season when he came in, he was just on the back of a long-term foot injury. So it took him a while to get his fitness levels high. But no, we always knew he had that quality, which he showed the other day, and we'll continue to keep working with him so he can deliver these moments.
Yeah, took both of his goals really well. How much of a benefit can he be if he stays fit this season?
Yeah, I think he can be an important member of our squad this season. He has that attacking quality, and we know he's a real goal threat. So yeah, we'll keep working with Tino.
And Jack Rajoni looks impressive again. Do you feel like he's adapting to the league well, especially given his young age?
Yeah, I think it's credit to Jack and his character and his desire and his drive to want to keep improving. We feel as though he's got a lot of potential. I've said before, he's a very adaptable player. I feel as though he can play in a number of positions and sort of very receptive to messages we give him for his role and responsibility within the team. And he's carrying that out and is improving all the time.
And that versatility you mentioned, he can play in multiple positions. Is that something you look for in a lot of players, that they can adapt and move to your tactics?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's something we sort of identify when we're recruiting players, when we're sort of on the training pitch, that players can play a number of positions and be adaptable.
And we'll look back before we look forward just on that West Brom game. What was the mood like in the dressing room afterwards? Do you feel like you should have come away with more than a point from that game?
The West Brom one?
Yeah, just gone.
Yeah. No, I think having reflected on it, I think it was probably a fair point. Well-deserved point from us, but lots of positives to build on going into the fixture against Bristol City.
Yeah, and it must have been disappointing to let that lead slip for the players. How hard is it as a player and as a coach to move on and look forward to the next game?
Yeah, I think we reflect really quickly. We analyse the game, we sit down with the players, we discuss what we've done well and what we can improve on. And then the fixtures come thick and fast in the Championship, as we know, particularly this season. So yeah, we move on really quickly and prepare for the next game.
And obviously there is still a long, long way to go to the end of the season, but you are sat second bottom at the moment, obviously with the game against Coventry to be played in the future. Are you starting to worry at all about the team's position?
No, I've not really looked at the league, to be honest. I think 10 games in, you start to have a look and figure out where you are at that moment in time. So we've got block of 5 games coming up, which we'll prepare and we'll try and win every game.
Brilliant. And we'll look to the game ahead then. The last trip to Ashton Gate was a successful one. Will you or the squad be taking any notes from the last visit?
No, I think I've said this before. I think it's just another game for us. I think lots of personnel have changed. Lots of changes happen in football all the time from season to season. So we'll just prepare as though it's the most important game we have, and it is.
And Bristol unbeaten in their last 6 in all competitions. It's going to be a tough game, that's for sure. How's preparation been going for this one?
Yeah, Bristol in really good form. We obviously watch the opponent and analyse and prepare sort of how we're going to attack, how we're going to defend, and the preparation's been good.
Good. And coming up against Nigel Pearson, obviously a very experienced manager, are you hoping to analyse his games from the past? How are you approaching this from a coach's perspective?
Yeah, I think we always analyse sort of the manager, the way he wants to play football. I think Bristol City are playing very attacking style of play this season, and they've had a good start. So we're well aware of what they are and what they do, but our focus will be on us and what we're going to do in the game.
Brilliant. And just lastly for me, obviously the transfer window shuts in a couple of days' time. Are we expecting any more incomings or outgoings from yourself?
There are players we've identified, so we'll see what happens the next few days.
Brilliant. Thanks, Danny.
Cheers, Matt. Thanks.
Add it up.
Hi, Danny. You mentioned Bristol City, very high scoring side, concede a lot of goals as well. Where do you see the game being won and lost tomorrow?
Probably in both goals. Yeah. No, they have real attacking threat. We've known that. They have lots of movements in behind from their strikers. So defensively, we need to be well organised and solid in those moments. But we've also identified where we can expose them to attack, where their spaces are, which players we can utilise into those spaces to be really effective.
We mentioned your own defensive record as well. It's not just about the back line, is it? It's about the whole team defending as a unit. Where do you feel like you could get more out of the side?
Yeah, I think we're constantly speaking about the connection between players, both in defence and attack, and everyone's responsible at any time, wherever the ball is on the pitch, whatever the scenario is, to defend and also to attack. And these are constant messages we're giving the players.
Do you feel like the midfield is a bit easy to get through at the moment? Might need a bit more protection in the middle there?
Again, I think it's more down to the collective rather than down to the individual. You're only as strong as the players around you. It's a team sport, so I think the focus is on the collective with whatever personnel we select. Yeah.
And do you feel like things are moving in the right direction from start of the season up to the West Brom game?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's certainly areas we can improve on. We're well aware of that, but we think there's a lot of positives in some of our performances. So we'll also take those positives and really try and build on them and be positive as a staff and as players as well going into the next game.
You've sent a few players out on loan, Ryan Schofield, Kieran Phillips. How do you see them getting on, and what they are hoping to get out of those loans?
Yeah, I think it's when players come back in pre-season, so we give opportunity to everyone and we assess where they're at, whether they can contribute to the Championship, to Huddersfield to compete in the Championship at this moment in time. And sometimes the best journey or the route for the player is to go out on loan to get that experience, and I think it's invaluable. I think when players go on loan, pick up the experience and then come back and compete for a shirt at Huddersfield Town. So I think it's the right decision. I think they'll benefit hugely from it. Cheers, Steve.
Leon, thanks for your patience. No problem. Hiya, Danny. You okay?
Morning, Leon.
Morning. How's Hoggy? Is he all right?
Yeah, Hoggy will train today. Be the first time he's been on the pitch with the team. So we'll assess him, see how he is after, and see if he's available for selection.
Yeah. Obviously, every manager a bit coy about transfers at this time of year, and everyone's sick of the window as well. Probably, is it fair to say if you do happen to get maybe a couple in, it'll be probably viewed as a pretty good window if you can manage to pull it off?
Yeah, I think so. I think the players we've got in the building are doing really well. I think you always want to strengthen the squad to improve the competition, because I think this is really good for the players to drive players on to compete against each other. I think this can be really healthy.
And if you can get a couple, I suppose there's a few more games until the sort of international break. At the minute, it's just game recovery game, really, isn't it? And if you can just get a couple of wins, and it'll settle everyone down, and you can sort of go again, really. And after the window.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's lots of games coming up, so we're always assessing the squad, see the physical levels of the players, which players most suited to playing against a certain opponent. So yeah, we'll focus on this.
Bristol are one of those sides. They can be very sort of feast or famine, if you like, Danny. That when they've run hot over the years, they've been hot and they've had sort of bad runs as well. You've got them in a good vein of form at the minute. It's going to be a big challenge, that one.
Yeah, I think look, any championship game is a challenging one, particularly when there's a team in form. But like I said, we know their strengths and we've identified potential weaknesses. And we'll fully focus on what we can do against an opponent who's in good form.
I was going to ask you about Sorba Thomas. Obviously, starts the season. He had some good moments, and others a little bit quieter. Do you think he's more of a bit more of a marked man, if you like? I mean, you look at someone like Middlesbrough with Isaiah Jones. It's the same. He had a great season last year. People have wised up and doubled up on him. Whatever. It's hard to sort of go against sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I think obviously your profile increases once you've had a good season, and I think you're right what you say, Leon. Opposition players, the manager of the opponent is more aware of probably the danger players in the team, but that's down to sort of us as staff. It's down to the individual player to find the solutions to sort of overcome that. See it as a real challenge, but also a positive, that they have been identified as a key player, and then find the solutions to get to those levels again, which I think Sorba did against West Brom. I thought it was his best performance of the season.
And with your manager's hat on, you'll be glad when it gets to 11 o'clock on Thursday. I would have thought, because there's so much noise about the window, and it's been going on for the best part of a couple of months, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's always sort of not a relief, but a pivotal moment when you get this transfer window out of the way, and then you can concentrate on what's in your squad and go forward.
Are you one of those? Would you be happy? If a lot of managers say if it was done at the start of the season, then you know what you work with. Have you any sort of views on it at all?
Not really. I think being new to the job, maybe sort of the last thing I'm thinking about. But I think as soon as you've got sort of players together and you can work with them, it's always a benefit.
Yeah. Thanks, Danny. Good luck as ever. Thank you.
Cheers, Leon. Thanks, mate.